This episode of JJ Meets World is brought to you by Natalie Deutsch of Hatch Realty. Listen, folks, Natalie's got a great track record when it comes to selling homes. On average, she's moving homes for $4,000 or more above the list price, plus she's selling homes in less than the market average. What does that mean for you? It means you don't have to keep your house clean all the time if you're selling it. If you're a buyer, no one wants to wait around for a year, 2 years to find the perfect home. Natalie is going to work her tail off to make sure that she finds you the right home at the right price, and she's going to represent you through the entire buying process. So it's kind of like holding a hand to get across the street. Natalie is going to be that Girl Scout who grabs your hand, pushes the walk button, gets you across the street, and then points you down the street to where you need to go. If you're selling a home, Natalie is an amazing person to represent you. She's going to keep you top of mind on all these search engines, all the stuff that you have to worry about. Don't worry. Natalie's going to take on that headache. You don't have to deal with it. So get a hold of Natalie today, because on average, she sells a home every 3.74 days. That's 2 homes a week. Sometimes Natalie's selling enough property to make you think that she's an entire team herself. But no, she is the Wonder Woman of local real estate agents. Natalie Deutsch, 701-388-9338. You can also get a hold of her via email, Natalie, Natalie, at hatchrealtyfm.com. Or you can go to the Hatch Realty website, livefargomorehead.com. That is livefargomorehead.com. And hey, start packing. Guten Tag, podcast listeners. Today's episode features the Baker brothers, our first set of twins because the triplets canceled on us. We get all over the place in this episode, and I even have a special surprise for Aaron Baker concerning my contact information in my sister's telephone. All of this is going to be right here at your fingertips while you listen to it, and Tucker and I talk about what it's like to test scientifically different things on twins. You're gonna like it. I like it. And you know what else I like? Listening to the intro with Tucker and I on JJ Meets World.
1, 2, 3, 4. J.J. Gordon, sort of like that Indiana Jones, in that he's always sniffing out his next adventure. Yes, he is. He's always interviewing guests so he can have them on his show and they can talk about pop culture, arts, and leisure. J.J. has his flag unfurled and he likes his french fries curled, and he's fun and then he twirled as he goes to meet the world. He will march into the rain even if his ankle sprained. Take a peek inside his brain. This podcast is called JJ Meets World.
Shoes, socks, slippers, boots, shoelaces, gloves, cufflinks, earrings. These are all things that come in pairs. Just like our guests today, the Baker brothers, Aaron and Brandon Baker. Would you like to know some other things that come in pairs?
Which one's the left and which one's the right?
Scissors, tweezers, tongs.
So a scissors is not a scissors; it's a pair of scissors.
A pair of scissors.
So each blade is a scissor. Is a sizz.
Scissor. Yeah.
But we say scissors.
Right, because it's 2 scissors. You got 2 scissors. You got one.
Well, I got to tell you, our guests today, they're a real pair of scissor sisters.
Like the band. Handcuffs. Lungs. Dice.
Have you ever thought what it would be like if you found out that you secretly had a twin this whole time?
Crutches. Yeah, I actually have thought about that several times, of what happens if I've got a twin who's out there in the world.
Identical twin, not just like fraternal twin.
And my hope is that he's not out there committing crimes.
Wouldn't there be some sort of like Disney type scenario where you accidentally switch spots?
Well, like
the Prince and the Pauper.
Right. Or like the Prince and the Pauper, Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen movie with Steve Guttenberg and Kirstie Alley. Boy, who would have thought that Steve Guttenberg and Kirstie Alley were going to be the lesser famous people from that quad setup? So what I like about our conversation with the Bakers is it is purely a conversation. They are not experts in anything, and if they are,
except
we do not bring
twinsies.
it up. Yeah. So I talk about what it's like being twins, as well as we touch on just some other things about them individually. It's a lot of fun. And it was nice because both of them were so complimentary to their other half.
Yeah.
And you can tell they love being brothers.
They're both incredibly intelligent and talented guys.
Yeah.
And they're both really witty in their own ways. And they're also incredibly self-effacing. So they're just a treat to be around. One thing I'm realizing right now, though, I meant to ask this and didn't. I've asked it of Aaron plenty of times, is if one of them wakes up in the middle of the night from a nightmare, does the other one wake up at the exact same time?
Sure.
And worry about their brother?
Well, off air, I asked if I could pinch one and see if the other could feel it, and they declined. And they declined in a way where you can tell they'd been asked that before. So, and even when I said it's for science, they said no. And I said, I've got a clipboard. And they said, that is an empty gummy bear wrapper. And so, point Baker Brothers.
Yeah.
This episode is a nice, tight episode where we go everywhere. Use your earbuds. There's some terse language in this one.
Saying it's a nice, tight episode and then saying it goes everywhere doesn't really seem to make sense.
Well, it's a nice, tight episode in the fact that like you can listen to this in chunks. Or
that's
separately.
different than all our other episodes.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
You can tell that it's the end of the day. We've been recording a lot today.
We've been what?
I've asked a lot of you today.
You have. So let's just get the ball rolling. Let's get if you look at the bottom of your screen, you don't have to speed scrub through this. We'll just get it going from right on here. And while we've got the podcast heating up, ready to come out of the crock pot onto the family dinner plate here, why don't you folks go to patreon.com/JJMeetsWorld and donate to this podcast. We give every single episode for free. And, by the way, you guys are definitely going to want to listen to what we got to say next. And then the Baker Brothers are up.
JJ Meets World.
Our first set of twins on JJ Meets World. The Baker Brothers, Aaron and Brendan. So I'm curious to know, what's it like being a twin?
Go ahead, Brandon.
Oh my God.
See, that's exactly how I wanted to start.
Yeah. Well, I happen to like it. I don't think everybody who has a twin maybe likes it, but I got a good twin. So that's good.
Heck.
Is one of you evil and one of you good?
I'm evil.
Yep.
It's not
Which
true.
is
I'm
weird
not
because
evil.
Brandon's got the beard. Usually it's the bearded
Right,
one that is the
right.
evil one.
I'm not evil, but
Not at all.
of the two of us, I'm definitely the worst. That used to not be true. I feel like that wasn't true when we were kids because we had this friend who was a little brother of one of our friends who would come up to us and he was like 4, and he would say, "Are you the nice one?" to me, and I was the nice one, and he would kick the shit out of me, like he would beat me so hard, and I would I couldn't fight back. But if he went to Brandon and said, "Are you the nice one?" he'd be like, "No."
Yeah,
he
I
never
was
messed
the
with
mean
Brandon.
one.
You'd kick the shit out of the little kid?
He
No,
didn't.
I just didn't put up with it.
Shay didn't mess with him.
Yeah.
So
Why am I laughing at you getting your ass kicked? Probably because it's from a little kid.
a 4-year-old.
He did threaten to pee on us once.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really? Did he
Threatened.
come? Only the threat? He didn't
Is
come
his
through
name
with
Matt
it?
McGregor?
No, it's slightly younger than Matt, but
No, but he had his weapon ready.
yeah.
I remember a time where we had a retreat at my lake cabin for the improv troupe in my high school, the Don Quixotes, and this kid Phil Lund was swimming around the side of a boat, and someone started to pee off the side of the boat. He's like, "Oh my God, you're almost peeing on me!" And they're like, "Yeah, almost." And then they arced it over to try and pee on him.
Totally.
And I remember thinking, like, someone's about to get peed on, like on purpose, and like against their will.
Right.
This is not good. This is not something that should happen. And then I thought, I wish I had a camera right now.
You think just being
take a
in the
picture.
water around that area would be dangerous because it's going to diffuse into all of that. So even if
yeah.
it's not directly on you,
Yeah.
Can we all admit right now that we've all been peed on?
Yeah,
Have you
for
been
sure.
in a public pool?
Yep.
You've been in a
Yep,
public
yep,
pool?
sure. Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
so
Well, if you've
we've
been in
all
a
been
lake.
and peed in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just pee in the lake.
Yeah.
Through your swimming
there's
trunks.
fish pee in the lake. I mean, everything's peeing in that lake.
I had a friend who would pee in the lake, but he wouldn't pee through his trunks. He thought that was uncivilized, so he just pulled them down and pee through that. And I was like, science? Do you understand how liquid works?
I feel like I've done that too, but it's more psychological.
Yeah, when Aaron uses the urinals at public restrooms, he drops his pants all the way
way down.
All the way
So
down.
You gotta lift
All
your
the way
shirt
just
up too. You gotta lift your shirt.
That's one of my favorite Greg Carlson stories. Was I was with him and his family in Bismarck, and we went to eat at like a Hardee's.
Yep.
And as I'm walking out of the bathroom, Greg goes, Tucker, look. And he's pointing at his son, Forrest, who's at a urinal with his shirt up and his pants all the way down.
At what age do you think that is the like you stop doing?
Well,
the...
you stop, but then you start again.
Yeah.
Because in casinos, you see elderly men doing it all the time, where they're just like, it's just too much to hold it up, so I'm just gonna just drop it. What do I care?
Really? Yeah, the things that happen in casinos aren't like normal things.
Right.
Yeah, people sort of treat casinos like the wild, wild west sometimes, where they're like, well, I would never push someone out of a seat in real life, but when you enter a casino, there's no holds barred.
And they're a great place to see compression socks.
It's very true.
Yeah.
You don't want that deep vein thrombosis.
No,
when you're on a
exactly.
heater.
That's what killed Richard Nixon. You don't want that.
My grandmother was personal friends with Richard Nixon.
No kid.
Richard
I'm sorry.
Milhouse Nixon.
I shouldn't have said that.
No, that's all.
Oh, okay.
I mean, a lot of other presidents.
friends.
Yeah. So
They have personal correspondence. I have a
really?
whole collection
Wow.
of it. So
Okay.
she was the head of the like ladies Republican caucus or whatever for North Dakota. So when he came to visit as a vice president, she got to host him, and I can't remember what his wife's name was.
Pat.
Pat
Patricia.
Nixon. That's
Yeah.
right, Pat Nixon.
Do you think
And
your
so then they started
grandma ever
writing-
gave Nixon a handy?
No, and I'll tell you why. She was from Washburn, North Dakota, and
That's why I think handy's as far as it would have gone.
nope, I don't think that they gave handies out there because hands were for farming.
Yeah.
You know,
I bet he'd be like, it's not that tricky.
genitals and mouth, and
Right.
they'd be like, "It's not that tricky." But yeah, so
Pat, she just doesn't do it anymore.
do you know that he was he was into theater? He did community theater a bunch. And he also wrote these beautiful love letters to Pat.
I believe it.
That they published into a book years later. And I think we're all like, Richard Nixon's a piece of shit. He's a horrible, horrible piece of shit. But he probably was not like a bad person.
He's a
Right.
good bowler.
Yeah.
Was he a good bowler?
Yep.
Put bowling alley in the White House.
Really? Like with an automatic pin setter, do you know? Or
I'm not sure.
was that did someone get furloughed?
When did
Where
that
they had to like
When did that technology come around? I don't know. The ball return.
automatic pin setters? I think have been around for a long
It's
time.
been around a while.
I did just see that Roger Stone did the Nixon thing after he got out on bail.
Did he? He did.
Because he's a
Oh,
big
I didn't watch
Nixon
the video.
fan.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He
He
was
a tattoo of him on his back.
He's a Nixon fanboy. And
He does.
He does. And yeah, when he got like arraigned and then he got out on bail and the press was there, he did the Nixon like four fingers in the air salute, which is hilarious because he's saying he's not a criminal.
Right.
But he's now mimicking a criminal.
He's just
Also,
owning that.
when Nixon did that, wasn't he coming out of like a helicopter?
He was getting into a helicopter.
like
Getting in
what
to
a
leave
stupid
forever.
move to put your hands over your head like that, and then to extend your fingers longer. Like he could have ended up like losing the hands, the digits.
and then he really would have needed a handy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
See, full circle, guys.
Yep. So growing. Where did you guys grow up?
Jamestown.
Jamestown.
Yeah.
North
near the
Dakota.
reservoir.
In North
or-
Yep.
Dakota.
Really near the reservoir.
Really?
About a mile away.
I hear people boat in the reservoir.
They do.
I've never been there, but I hear fine things about it.
They put boats on it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just not
I mean,
a
did
big
you guys go
lake
swim
person.
in it?
Oh, yeah, we went swimming in the reservoir.
Yeah. Well, we swam in it. In fact, my dog Toby. Here's a tip:
My dog, too.
Don't get in. Yeah, it was your dog too. You're right. You're right. But he took a chunk out of me because don't get in front of a dog who's dog paddling because
Really?
they're doing this. Well, you can't see it; it's on a podcast, but they're doing the motion.
He's,
dog paddle.
He's doing the dog paddle. motion.
and he got me right in the side with his dog claw. And it's
It took a chunk out of you?
It's the worst scar on my body, mostly because I was swimming in a lake and I put a Band-Aid on it and didn't think anything else of it. It looks pretty
There's
nasty.
all those organisms.
Even
that
in
are
the
there.
90s, the lake wasn't.
What? So if that's the worst scar on your body, tell me about some other scars on your body.
Oh my God, I bounced my head off a lot of things.
Brandon's really clumsy.
Not so much anymore.
No, not anymore. But it used to be like Really clumsy.
Really? Yeah, no. 4 years old, and I fell off the stairs, not down them, and that's my head clonked open on the concrete floor, and then I was bouncing on the bed, trying to show my grandpa this butt bounce. You know, when you bounce off, then you jump on the bed and you bounce down off the butt, and then you jump back onto your feet.
And you were like, Grandpa.
And I wanted to show him this because it was so cool. I don't remember how old I was, not that much older. And instead of bouncing like straight back up on my feet, I like did this whole catapult off the bed and hit the corner of a bookshelf, and then the bridge of my nose was laid open in what I'm told was gruesome fashion. And and then
Was your grandpa like, yeah, that's pretty cool?
Yeah.
I think he felt really bad, and I don't really want him. I never wanted him to feel bad about it because I was just trying to show off, you know.
When I was, I think like 5, we had a bar in the basement, and I was on the bar with this little tiny toy truck, and I'm going like, truck, and I fell off, and we had an antique wicker rocking horse that had a loose piece, and I gave myself like a Joker, like, why so serious thing where I cut underneath.
Oh.
And you can see underneath I got a little tiny baby scar.
Oh.
And I remember vividly going to the hospital and squirming because there was so much pain and they had to give me stitches that they tied me down onto what's called a papoose board, which had a very racist drawing of a baby Native American on it.
Sure.
And what it was is like they essentially strap you to this board so that you can't move so that they can do stuff like give you stitches. And then a month later, I was cutting I wanted to help my mom. I wanted to cut this lime, and I've got a little scar right here on this finger. So I'm cutting this lime for her gin and tonic, and I cut my finger open. So they take me to the emergency room. And when the doctor asked what I did, I was like, I was cutting a lime for my mommy's drink. And the next day, Child Protective Services comes over to the house because they want to know, like, so your son was bartending for you? What was the deal? And then for a very long time, for 30 years, nothing happened until one day I'm working on like pulling nails out of this deck. And like above me, like it was like paneling on a deck. And so I'm pulling nails out, and I thought I was going to have to pull really hard. So I did, but there was almost like it rotted away. So it came out immediately. I brought the hammer back, and it turned so that the face side hit me, but I had glasses, shoved it right up, and I cut a big gash in my forehead.
Oh, that's fun.
And at the time, I did not have health insurance. And I was like, I'll just put a Band-Aid on this.
Sure.
And so 2 days later, I'm still actively bleeding from this wound because it won't close. And someone goes, I can take care of that. And so I'm like, please, if you could, because I am not feeling well at this point. And they filled this wound with super glue, which is like it's the old school version of stuff. But now they actually make sterile products now that you can do the same thing. So don't make the mistake I did and just let some dude put crazy glue.
Like store-bought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I was going to huff this later, but if you don't mind me smelling your wound, that'll be good. What about you? Scars, Darren?
Not too much. A hernia scar, I guess.
A hernia
Yeah,
scar.
you can't really see that
More
anymore.
mental scars.
Yeah, mental scars. I
Emotional
do have
scars.
a little scar right above my nose from a rifle scope because I was hunting with my grandpa. Grandpa's always involved, I guess.
It's his grandpa, too.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
If I can't monopolize the dog, you can't monopolize our
Did you
grandpa.
guys ever have like one of those jerk friends who's like, here's a birthday gift for both of you?
I don't remember, actually.
No.
I think we actually never got really ripped off on birthdays because on our birthdays, like 5 days from Christmas, too. And we never really got...
son of a bitch.
We didn't really get ripped off by that
No,
either, though.
really?
Like, our mom is super... I mean, I'm not saying anything about our dad, but our mom is super generous and, like, likes to get gifts and stuff. So,
so you never had like, happy birthday, Christmas, both of you
Yeah,
at the same
exactly.
time?
Yeah, and I was thinking about this last Christmas. If our mom had like a separate bank account that she had to spend money out of, she would be dirt poor at Christmas time because our dad's birthday is the day before ours.
Yep.
Then our birthdays, and then Christmas. I mean, there would just be no money.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of my birthday's mid-October. My now wedding anniversary is end of October, and then my wife's birthday is mid-November.
Uh-huh.
And so I didn't think about that when I was scheduling stuff, but like I got dicked over hardcore on my birthday this year because everyone was like, well, we're getting you something for the wedding. Well, yeah, you got something Jill registered for. You didn't get something for me. She and I argued a lot during our wedding because I registered for stuff that I wanted that I just wasn't going to buy myself. For example, Playing with Power, The History of the Super Nintendo is a $50 book. It is amazing. I've wanted it for a long time. Registered for it. I registered for the Ghostbusters complete Fire Hall Lego set. Over 15,000 pieces. It comes with all the Ghostbuster minifigs. And she's like, that's stupid. I hate that. Luckily, I've got great friends like previous guest Dave Brunswell, who was like, listen, I'm not going to buy the whole thing for you because it's $600, but here's $100 towards it.
Nice.
So did you guys like get the benefit then of like having complete collections of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because you both got chunks of them?
I like hate to even say this. I wasn't that into the Turtles, Tucker.
Get out.
What were you into
Brandon
instead?
can stay.
I don't
Go
know.
ahead, Brandon.
I was, I guess, a normal amount of into the Turtles.
Yeah.
I did go over to the arcade place last weekend and play the Turtles game. That was
fun.
That was
game.
pretty fun.
Yeah.
It's still as difficult today as it was when
I'm
we were
thinking
younger
of like
too.
whatever those called, like the arcade game on Nintendo or something. Was that right? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the
yeah.
arcade game.
Oh,
That was the one I played a lot.
Yeah.
So
Have you ever on the arcade console of that game? The April O'Neil is wearing the yellow. She's super hot, and I have been trying for years to track down the woman who is in because she's the only.
I
actual
found the
human.
photographer.
Did you?
I've got access. I think I follow him on Instagram right now because I follow a lot of retro gaming subreddits on Reddit since I'm getting into game collecting now.
Okay.
And someone had made a post about finding someone. So they had done a documentary on the guy who did all of the illustrations for Konami for years, and then someone said you should do a documentary on the guy who did all the photography for these arcade game platters, and here's his Instagram account. So we could talk to that guy and find out who the lady is if you want to.
Please.
It was I looked at it when I was over there last week, and that photo was very 80s, 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very bizarre.
Yeah.
She looks a lot like Julia Roberts when she started her career, like in Steel Magnolias.
But I remember being a kid at Showbiz going, I feel funny when I
Yep.
was looking
Right.
at the Ninja Turtles arcade game.
Still to this day, when I see someone in a yellow jumpsuit
Yeah.
reporting for a New York
Yeah.
television station.
Yeah, whenever
Still
that happens.
trying to get Jill to put that on, right? Yep.
So you actually knew my wife before I did. Because she was
back.
in
I was in a student movie of hers way back in the day.
Yeah.
way back.
Really? What movie?
Brainwaves, it was called.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't even remember what it was about really, except I think I had I had brain surgery or something.
I bet you she doesn't remember much either.
It was, I think I might have a copy of it on VHS
I want to
somewhere.
see that really bad.
Somewhere it exists.
If you
So-
find it, let me know. We'll digitize it.
I always forget the title. What was the one that you did that you shot at Ben Franklin?
After School Special.
After School Special.
Oh, that is
Yeah.
gold.
Yeah,
It
that is gold.
really is.
that's the one I'm of student films I'm most proud of for sure. So
It's great because it's a student film that there's a new series coming onto Hulu where
Yeah.
two 30-year-old women are playing like 13-year-olds. So essentially taking the same concept that you had.
Yeah, it was that idea. It was like
Yeah.
20 somethings playing 13-year-olds.
Guess what my name is in my sister's cell phone?
What?
Large Ephraim.
No way!
It is.
Oh, that is so cool.
I thought that was one of the funniest gags I had ever heard. And I remember seeing it at the Fargo Theater before I even met you.
That's awesome.
And thinking, that is one of the greatest bully names ever. And so I grabbed my sister's phone, and this is like when she had like a flip phone.
Yep.
And I changed it to Large Ephraim. So I've been Large
Still that
Ephraim
way?
ever
Oh,
since.
that's so cool. I have to like track down Ryan Murphy who played Large Ephraim and let him know that that's the case.
Yes, please do.
Because that's
What an honor.
That is so cool.
Right? Is that available? Can you watch that online
So
anywhere?
I don't have it online anywhere. I have a DVD that like Matt McGregor, maybe your previous podcast guest. But it's got
Thank you for throwing that out there.
It's got got a bit of some glitches towards the beginning. So actually, like trying to find a better copy of it somewhere.
I'm pretty sure previous podcast guest Greg Carlson probably
I talked to him about
somewhere.
it, but he's such a busy man.
Yeah.
That it's hard to get him to find it. Or
He and I have
blaming him, but
he and I have a massive archival project that we're beginning to kick off here pretty soon.
Oh, great!
And hopefully
There's
we'll
so
get
much
that
gold
caught
up
up in there. Yeah.
I'll bet you the Fargo Theater has a copy
I
from
looked
the
in
film
the basement.
festival. Did
Emily
you?
let me look in the basement, and they didn't have one.
Oh.
I would really like to see that again.
I mean, I have like a viewable copy. It just goes every now and then, like towards the beginning, and it's kind of annoying.
How's it go?
Episode title.
Yeah, I always viewed that as one of just the best. I remember sitting next to my aunt Deb watching that because it was an afternoon, but it also played, I believe, that year during like the midnight.
It was
like-
at like the Winter Carnival or something. Carnival.
Yeah.
Carnival. It played there too.
Let's call it the carnival, the winter carnival.
Not only did that play, but also the film by Jesse Hackey starring you and Tony Magnol.
Brandon, yeah.
Which one was that?
It's where you got really drunk and then you proposed to Jesse's character via a nude picture in a newspaper.
That deal. Yeah, well, that picture is probably still around. Yeah. That was in the MSUM Advocate.
Really?
On the April Fool's edition, yeah. So I actually probably still have a full-size poster of mostly nude me, black and white with some tasteful like Ann Getty's spot color going on.
Nice. Splayed out on the ground. Are there rose petals on you?
There
or
are
what
rose petals and then a strategically placed bouquet of flowers.
It was like an American Beauty.
It was an American Beauty thing.
Nice. Very classy, right?
Yeah, the photo editor for the Advocate asked if I would do that and I was, I guess, up for it.
There's so many things that I did back in the day that now, if you ask me to do it today, I would be like, well, I don't know. For example, like when Tucker had me dressed as a giant baby, not once but twice.
I remember that. Oh, I do remember that. That's beautiful.
You know, so I don't think we've ever really addressed this. There was a mystical third one that we had worked on for a little while, which is going to involve Greg's character, who does war reenactments.
Yeah, we never shot it, but we had come up with the concept for it.
And his neighbor, who is going to be played by Steve Poitras, does naval battle reenactments. And his son was going to be played by Dave Brunswold, but dressed like Little Lord Fauntleroy. And he was going to do things like, you know, like push something over and then be like, which of you did this? And he'd be like, the baby did it.
Yeah, because he's like a slightly older kid who has some vocabulary skills, so can communicate and is able to just ruin Baby Bumpy's life. We've also wanted to do Baby Bumpy's baptism.
Yeah, that was one that I really wanted to get done.
Yeah, but that would have, I don't think you can do that one anymore.
That one was going to involve me, so I was going to be in like a baptismal
we
gown,
were
and
gonna
I was going to be bare-assed running out of there.
We were going to surprise the audience and expose JJ's genitals.
that'd be nice. Right?
Now we're probably not going to do that.
We'll see.
Not in this era.
We'll see. Yeah, that's a good call. In fact, speaking of American Beauty, are we allowed to like American Beauty still since Kevin Spacey's in it?
I kind of like it less over the years anyway because I'm just like, what an obvious movie. But you know,
I agree.
I do like Sam Mendes though. I mean, anytime
Sam Mendes, he can make good movies.
anytime
for
he
sure.
directs something, I'm into it. But yeah, I agree.
And I'm also a huge Wes Bentley fan. Always have been,
Yeah.
always will be.
I was going to say, not me.
Yeah. You've been one or two good movies since then. I don't know.
Name them.
it's just
P2 is a horror movie. P2 is the killer in P2. It's pretty decent horror movie. What else? That's something else recently. It doesn't matter.
I had no idea.
He's in something where he's got this huge beard.
Yeah.
You know, the beard movie.
Yeah.
I just want to see his character like as a grocery bagger.
Right.
And like the flashbacks he has when they ask for plastic.
Yeah.
I am not a fan of the show Family Guy.
No, me neither.
But I do remember one of the best cutaway gags from that show is Peter does the exact same speech. He's got a camera and he's filming like a plastic bag and talking about the beauty of the plastic bag. And then it cuts to God and going, do you know how complex your circulatory system is?
Right. I do remember that.
That is trash. You are filming trash. So, Brendan, who's somebody that you like that's like a Wes Bentley-like character that we should make fun of?
Good God, that's a tough question.
I know.
Maybe like in a
Actually-
musical field.
advocate for someone that people don't give enough credit to.
Well, can I tell you, and this is not answering your question at all.
Please, this is my favorite kind of answer.
But you mentioned the musical field. I've been thinking a lot lately. This is totally not answering your question, but I've been thinking a lot lately about well, it kind of bends back to Wes Bentley.
Are you answering the
Everything
fucking
does.
question or not?
So band photos, nobody smiles ever, and nobody's happy. And I've have nominally been in a band before, and it's really fun and a great experience. And you're doing something that's really great, and people come see you for it, and sometimes they pay you. And to me, that's just fucking great.
Why aren't you
Why aren't you
smiling?
smiling a little bit? And
I am thinking about. So I just went to a Real Big Fish show in Fargo.
Oh, you went to that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their picture, they're not smiling.
Really? They're a ska band. How are they not?
They should be smiling all the time. They're
Right.
like, "Can you believe we exist?"
We were in basketball.
Yeah, actually. So the last time I went to see Real Big Fish, they talked a lot, and they talked about their experience on basketball. This was all business. They were like, "Let's get this. Let's get this. We got a new album, so if you're gonna piss, now's the time." Which is unfortunate because have you ever heard the story of how basketball came to be?
No.
So here's a tangent for you. So the Zucker brothers from Airplane fame approach Matt Stone and Trey Parker, and they're like, "You guys, this show that you're doing is really funny. We've got a deal with Universal, and we'd like to do this thing. It's about this sport. Would you be interested?" And those guys thought, well, there's no fucking way that we're going to get another season of this show, and we didn't make any money at all. So yes, we'll, sure, why not?
Plus, it's the Zuckers.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no, they didn't care about that. They they just cared about being able to like pay their rent.
Okay.
And their thought was like, you got Jenny McCarthy to be in this? She's huge. So this movie's going to be big.
Sure.
So the Zucker brothers approach them, and then they also do things like Universal just happens to have this music deal with Real Big Fish. So they're like, we need you to find a way to work Real Big Fish into this and get them a couple of songs, to be in there. And so all of these things happen. And nowadays, if you ask like Matt Stone and Trey Parker about it, they're like, yeah, I mean, we were in that thing. I don't know, but it's got a cult following
I like it
so
a
much
lot.
so that people play basketball.
really,
Like
Yeah.
the game, the sport.
they actually do
Wow.
play the sport. I guess I shouldn't be surprised by that.
You could, it's easy to put on, right? Just put it in your driveway.
Yep.
Sure.
And it's combining two sports that people know at least
Right.
enough.
Yeah.
So
Also, Bob Costas is amazing in that movie.
Right.
He is.
He is
Fantastic.
So good.
As-
Feel
as-
these nipples, right? Or was that Al Michaels? I can't remember.
No, that was
Okay.
that was
that was
him.
Bob
but
Costas.
also Robert Stack.
Robert
is
Stack.
amazing
Yeah.
in that
He's got
too.
a great scene. Yeah, I really love that movie. Actually,
do too.
It
Yeah,
makes
well
me laugh
done.
every time I watch
I did
it.
too.
I watch it like once a year, I think.
Their
Like-
makeout scene at the end is awesome.
Calling me a little bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're a piece of shit. the way they treat their friend. Brandon is also in a band with former podcast guest Tony Magnol called the Mincing Fancy Lads.
So and the Mincing Fancy Lads haven't done shit lately. So
but they didn't ever really break up either,
What,
right?
We didn't have a big falling out or anything like that. We're just both busy and lazy at the same time.
What's the type of music?
What is the type of music? I kind of folky,
That's the word.
rocky.
Yeah.
That's the part of the
It's
problem.
acoustic. They're just two of us with acoustic guitars. I would love to get a full band.
It's really good
with
stuff, by the
bass
way.
and drums. Thanks, Aaron. And I want to get a full band. I've wanted to play a little more rock and roll-ish for a long time, or just rearrange the songs. I'm very slow at songwriting.
Yeah.
Like years slow. It takes me a long time.
Like
And,
like the music or the lyrics?
usually the lyrics. I
Okay,
usually
let's team up because I can write lyrics like there's no tomorrow.
really
Like write some real quick right now.
I would like to take the word cool and mix it with the word school.
fantastic.
So you know that you're cool school if you're constantly going to school.
I thought you were going along the lines of making a new word like school,
like a portmanteau.
No, I'm not
That would
gonna.
be cool.
Combine cool and school.
I'll leave that up to Webster.
Yeah.
And
But what you
Sherwin
did
Williams.
was pretty well like in line with what the Mincing Fancy Lads lyrically has been.
Yeah, we like to think about school and how cool it is.
Right.
And
I was at a high school improv show last night, which was regrettable. And they had a scene where they were supposed to be a band, and so people are improvising instruments poorly. Like you can tell. Like, listen, does anyone here actually play the drums? Because if you do, you should be the one to like at least be the one who's pretending to play and make drum sounds. If you don't know what the harmonica is, you should not be the person who's miming this. But so they were like, "We're going to improvise a song for you." Well, they didn't improvise a song. They improvised me talking like this, and I love this, and it's going because we're in this scene. I need to find a word that'll make people laugh. And
I don't know. I kind of like this
That's
song.
how I would do improv.
do you?
It's catchy.
By the time
guy
he got to
hooked.
the end of this song, he goes, "All right, well, we're going to do 2 more songs for you." I heard someone in the back go, "Bullshit." Which was just a lot of fun. What are things that you miss from high school?
what do I miss
High
from
school?
high school?
Well, that's when I peaked.
Yeah,
So I miss everything.
me too. Like, think about those glory days,
Yeah,
right?
Seriously.
I miss pep band. I've been
band was
thinking
awesome.
about that lately. I went to
Really?
a hockey game for the first time since high school 2 weekends ago, and it was really fun. And I got to think about being in hockey band, which was
That was
hockey band
fun.
was all volunteer. Mm-hmm. But we
Yeah,
had
we
to.
weren't conscripted,
We
right?
were, no, by no means. But yeah, and pep band in high school was a lot of fun. It was a lot of like you'd sit and play pep band versions of what is
Iron Man
Iron Man and
Freeze
and then
Frame.
Freeze Frame.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That is a wholly inappropriate song.
Yeah,
to
You know,
play.
there's no lyrics in the pep band version except for freeze frame.
Yeah.
We yell at the beginning.
Do you think millennials would pay to go to like the Sanctuary to see a band called Pep Band who plays pep band versions of? I think they would.
I would like to think so. I can't. I don't know their.
Would
I
you?
don't know
How much
their-
would you pay?
How much would I pay to go
Yeah.
see a pep? I would.
It's called Pep Band.
I don't leave the house, so I
So how much would you pay to stream?
stream it. $1.99.
Sold. So you're the shut in then, and then Brendan is the.
Oh no, I'm not really a shut in. I just I'm old and tired now.
We used to live near each other to the point of where I'd see you walking.
Where did you live?
I was on 9th Avenue and like just a couple doors in from University.
Yeah. Well, that's fairly close. Yeah.
Yeah, over
I
in the
live on-
Agassiz area.
Yep. That's over. I
Don't
live
put
on
your
8th
actual
Street
address
now.
out. No, don't put your real address out.
Well, no, I'm not going to say which 8th
But
Street.
now we know
yeah.
Fargo, Moorhead, West Fargo.
Right.
I don't know. We're
North,
pretty sure he's not in
south.
Glendon.
Just don't give us the building number, but give us the apartment number.
give us
Okay.
the closest
Okay.
fast food franchise.
There McDonald's, I guess.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
What's the
I don't
apartment
go to
number?
McDonald's. I'm at 3.
Okay, what's the building number again?
It'll be 510.
Have you guys ever received mail that you know is not intended for your gender?
No.
That took a turn I didn't see
Oh,
coming.
no, I
Like,
don't think so.
I used to once a month get a letter, like not a letter, but like a flyer from Playtex
oh yeah.
telling me about like fancy new feminine products.
Right.
And I always wondered, how did I get on this list?
No, I don't think I've gotten mail, but I've gotten targeted ads for like support bras on Facebook. Don't know why.
What were you Googling?
Yeah,
Before
it's
it's
I think my phone was listening to me, and I was I probably had said at some point, my breasts are getting saggy, and when the phone hears that,
Yep.
I'm sad about my drooping breasts.
Now, which one of you was it? You who wrote the treatise on Keanu Reeves?
Oh yeah.
Oh, the beautiful.
Yeah.
I should go back and read that.
I need
right now.
to go read it
See
too.
you later.
One of the funniest things you'll read on the internet, and what we'll do is we'll post a link in the description of this podcast once we find the link. Because
I can give you the link. I have it.
Okay,
or, I mean,
awesome.
I'll find it easily enough.
Aaron basically breaks down what Keanu Reeves really is,
What he meant to
what
me.
he meant, and it's
I do
genius
love, I
level.
love Keanu. Yeah, I love Keanu. So
That whole your blog that you never
which is like 4
contributed to.
entries.
but it also had a fine. Can I say Papa John's on the podcast? It had a fine treatise or marketing.
It was meant to be like
an employee.
It was made up like an employee instruction for the new because that's my favorite thing on
Kong's
that thing.
meat.
Yeah, because there was an
Pizza.
actual. We worked at Papa John's and there was an actual new product called Kong's King Size Meats Pizza. And
When
I
the
don't know-
King Kong movie
when
came
the
out?
King Kong movie came
That
out
was
in
the tie-in.
2004 or 5 or whatever. Yeah, and so it was a promotional. It was just
That's
like
such an
it was just a
unappetizing
big
name.
pizza with meat on it. I was like stupid kind of really, but
But like how to like take like when someone calls in and
Yeah,
orders this,
yeah.
you need to say,
It was
"Oh, he's
taking-
coming through the roof."
Yeah, it was like shit like that. I was like really took it to like an absurd, stupid level.
It was absurd and almost pornographic. I think. Not even
Yeah.
almost. It was pornographic.
Yeah, I love that one. I'm really actually really proud
I
of.
still, whenever I read
That was
it,
just like
I'm
I got drunk
crying.
one night and wrote it.
Yeah. No, I cry when Aaron's a really sorry. This is not going to turn into me just
You're
complimenting my
your
brother.
brother a lot.
And as an aside, it occurs to me that our voices tend to sound a lot alike. So good luck, people.
Yeah.
Who's talking?
It's just one human being, and we're
Right.
this is theater of the mind. We're just layering it on
We
top of
recorded
each
the
other.
first half, and
This
now
is
he's
like-
filling in
yeah.
the second half.
No, I would say no. Aaron is. I'm lucky. If you want to know what it's like to have a twin, for me, I'm very lucky to have like the funniest person.
Ah, jeez.
Aw,
Thanks.
that's nice.
He is
Thank
like
you.
sickly hilarious.
I want to carry a whole little bicycle horn around and go honky honk whenever because if anyone says that, I can't say anything funny at that moment. So
So I worked with Aaron on the poker tour, and every once in a while when we were on the road, we would get a home game going on in someone's hotel room. And we were in Florida, and it'd been a long week, and then we're all playing this home game, and we're having some drinks, and Tony, previous podcast guest Tony, keeps like turning behind him and reaching backwards, and then nothing, and then he does it again, and then Tony goes, "I keep reaching back for a beer that isn't there." And Aaron goes, "That's a poem by Maya Angelou."
to be honest, I think I might have ripped that joke off from somewhere.
really?
I don't remember.
Okay.
That sounds familiar. It's like from Mystery Science Theater or something. I don't even have to say that I ripped it off because it's such a deep thing that I could get away with it.
Your timing was just so perfect that it slayed the room. We had to stop the game for a few minutes.
One time I was getting dressed for a gig when Jill's parents were staying with us. There's a flood in Hillsborough, and so their house is flooded out, so they're staying at our home. And I was walking downstairs, and our dress code for line benders is this black suit, white shirt, black tie. And so I walked downstairs, and they said, "My, you're dressed up." And I'm like, "It's after 6 o'clock. What am I, a farmer?"
Yeah.
Which is a quote from 30 Rock.
Yep.
I found out just recently that her parents have gone all over the United States telling people about this fun. Well, he's a comedian. I gotta tell you, he's so funny all the time. He said this thing in the home one time, and so Jill finally corrected him. She's like, "Well, he took that from the show 30 Rock," and I don't think that they respect me as much anymore. I think they're kind of like, "Oh, well." We'll just see what we can do. And then I cut, speaking of scars, I cut my fingers really bad the last time they had a flood because I got a drone and I was flying this drone. And when it was coming close, I got nervous that I was going to accidentally land it in the water. And so I reached out and I grabbed it, but the little blades on that bitch hurt.
So I'm glad that we're talking about the Anderson family because Jill's sister Amy one time went on a date with Aaron over here.
Really?
And
Great.
it's a pretty amazing story.
God,
and I really
come
want you to tell it
on,
right now.
no.
Yep.
Did she know it was a date?
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
please.
Oh, I know. It. Yes, because it's like
Good news, nobody in that family listens to the podcast, not even my wife.
God.
Not
Okay.
even Amy's boyfriend.
Yep.
Oh yeah, no. They all know the story. It's just like, should I talk about it? I
Yes,
don't know.
you should.
Yeah.
It was like
Go.
back in the early 2000s, I think, and I had like a crush on Amy, And
a lot of people did.
yeah, well, she's a good person, nice lady.
That's how I refer to my neighbor.
Right.
She's a good person, nice lady.
Nice lady, sturdy. Amy's not even sturdy. She's, but I finally got like the guts to ask her out, and I was like, "Hey, do you want to?" This is when you call someone on a landline. Still, it was like before I had a cell phone or anything. It was that long ago. That's not really relevant, but can you go ahead and do that? And then like we agreed, and I was like, where do you want it? And it's like, and she suggested Bertros's, which I thought was a weird kind of like, I don't know, it was on 45th or something at the time. It wasn't even one downtown where you could like, I don't know, put your tails on, and it's just the weirdest thing.
Going
and
to
I
the symphony.
and I don't remember that much about the actual like dinner going there. We met there, I think, and then I don't remember a whole lot about it, except the whole time I felt like it was like, doesn't feel like it's awesome, like a great date or anything. And then she said, well, I'm going to go to Casper's office, because she was Jeff Casper, your
Amy's boyfriend. Long-term boyfriend.
Yeah, but nobody knew they were dating at that time. And they were dating when I went on the date with her.
For like a year,
For a year. They had lived together. Yeah, and it's so weird.
And she
She
told
said-
Jeff, and he goes, "Yeah, go on it."
Yeah. And then I just wandered off kind of like afterwards, and I don't know, wandered into Fargo and like walked around for a while and thought, I don't know I'll go home, I guess.
So were you living in Fargo at the time?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it sounds
no.
like when you say
no,
I wandered into town,
mean,
like
I
you
just
had to
mean I
drive
kind of I drove, but
You just were like, I
It
budgeted
was
4 hours for
just
this evening.
not knowing. You don't know what to do after that happens, because it was such a weird situation. And I found out like months later that Amy and Jeff had been dating for a year at the time and lived together.
The fact that they kept it such a secret was, I mean, that's on them.
Yeah.
So-
Oh, yeah. Right.
I just love the notion, though, that Jeff's friend is going on a date with his girlfriend.
right.
And decides not to tell him or
What the hell,
anybody.
right? So weird.
Jill, I think so. We've only been married a couple of months, but I think that she has suspicions that I'm cheating on her.
Yeah.
Because I will go and do something and be gone for like an hour and come back and be like, well, I'm tired. I'm ready to go to bed. And she's like, I mean, there's a lot of signs here. And I don't want to be the person who finds out years later that, you were cheating on me. And I noticed the signs, and I was like, your signs are that I got home at 10:30 and I wanted to go to bed. And she's like, yeah, but like you abruptly needed to go out at 9:30. And I was like, no.
Haven't you known JJ for the past 12 years?
Yeah, I was
though?
like, this is how my operation as like a human being works. So sometimes, and it was the night when we had to come here to record a podcast piece, and so I was like, I'm with Tucker. So I'm waiting for the day that she calls Tucker to be like, Tucker, is my husband really with you, or
like I haven't talked to JJ in a week, Joe. Last I heard, he was going to Dilworth tonight.
Or you
but
should
I
act
don't-
all out of breath and be like, JJ, shut up.
all I know is I helped him move some furniture into that apartment he rented, and that's the last time I heard.
Also, it's cool that he's got his cousin hanging out with him now. She seems really nice.
Boy, they really like each other too.
You can tell Jill doesn't listen to this.
Yeah, she doesn't listen at all. But now someone will probably be like, Jill, you need to listen
It's
to
a
this
good time to
podcast.
start.
Right? So I worked with her sister Amy at Take Two Video.
Yeah, I remember
That's
on
right.
Take Two.
45th Street. I loved that rental store. It was so
awesome.
much fun. And I moved over to the North store. And just like how North Fargo and South Fargo are drastically different, the North store was different. So even though you're renting the same exact stuff, right? You've got 20 copies of District 13 and you want people to rent it. The clientele just was so much different. And I remember one day someone came in like, I'd like to rent Beauty and the Beast. And I was like, oh, well, we don't have it. And they're like, what do you mean you don't have it? It wasn't released on DVD at the time, and we had stopped renting VHS cassettes. And so I explained to them Walt's vault process and how Disney movies go into the vault.
Sure.
And they were just like, what? And so they leave, and about an hour later, somebody else comes in saying, I'd like to rent Beauty and the Beast. And so I have the exact same conversation, and they are perplexed as well. Later that night, right as my shift is ending, I'm hearing another employee explain to a customer that no, we don't have Beauty and the Beast. And I finally said, I'm just curious, is there a school project or is something going on? Or is Trollwood doing Beauty and the Beast? What's the deal? And they're like, no, my niece actually said she came in here earlier and she thought that someone was lying to her about you guys not having it. And so I'm like, so this woman sent in not one, but 2 other people to see if we changed our tune at all. And then I found out because Amy was telling me like a week later, like, yeah, someone came in and was wanting to rent Beauty and the Beast. I'm like, oh my God, this person is insane.
I think they were lying to me. They were just keeping it for themselves.
What the hell?
They didn't want me to see a tale as old as time.
It's like sending a different person into the interrogation room and just
Right.
trying to get a different answer.
Which this is
Good
a good
cop didn't
time.
work for a while,
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
bad cop time.
Have you guys ever played one of those twin tricks, like a Patty Duke style thing?
We never did.
Nope. Because I don't know. It just never occurred to us to do it. I think I was mistaken for Brandon. Well, I was mistaken for Brandon.
Oh no, you
But,
were
I mean,
mistaken for me. We went to MSUM together.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If people like think I'm him and walk, that used to happen. Not as much. We don't look as much alike anymore. But people used to walk up to me and be like, talk to me as if they look really familiar with me and everything, and I wouldn't know who they were. But then that. I mean, that probably happens to everyone who's not a twin, and you just think, God, am I just an asshole and don't know who this person is? And I
Yeah.
should know who they are, and I never quite know if that's the case. So I would just pretend to be him in that case.
He did. He told me once he was essentially in too deep,
Right.
and had a whole conversation with someone he didn't know, and as far as I know, that person still thinks they talk to me, and I've done it, and it happened with me too. I ended up in the same position. Like, do I know this person? I'm not sure if I do, but at this point, we've been talking for 10 minutes.
Yep.
So I guess I'm Aaron now.
I mean, as a society, we really appreciate the fact that, like, I mean, you both wear glasses, but you have different styles of glasses.
Right.
Sure.
But then, Aaron, no beard. Brendan, beard.
Yeah.
And so that really helps us as a society differentiate between you two.
Good.
And sorry, go ahead, Brandon.
No.
We used to look a lot more alike, obviously. So there are like pictures where I can't tell. Like when we're really young, I can't tell who's who. Because then there's like, speaking of Matt McGregor, there's a picture from when we were like 5. Because we've known Matt since we were like in kindergarten. And there's a picture from when we were like 5. And it was a picture of me and Matt. And I've got my arm around Matt, and Matt's doing this monkey business with his arms.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of
He
nonsense.
did that as a Christmas card this
and it
year,
just
too.
looks like real fun. Like
I know the picture.
you know the picture. And if like there were a movie where like there was a pair of adult best friends and one of them died. Like then there was a sad montage, or the surviving friend is drinking whiskey from a bottle and looking at an old picture and there's a sad song playing. That's the picture I'd be looking at. That's the one that's just like, holy shit, happy times and unspoiled childhood friendship.
Yeah.
And then I found out like within the last few years that's not me in that picture.
Really?
And Matt's my best friend. Matt's my best friend, so it's a ripoff. So Matt and I don't have that picture together. It's Brandon.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to steal your childhood.
It's all right. It's not really your
I
fault.
had no idea, but I do remember you and Matt had a falling out as friends at one point, and I think
Oh yeah, no, that was funny. Yeah.
What happened exactly? Because I wasn't really privy to the conversation.
Writing. Well, no, there was several times throughout.
Was it that amazing movie that Matt was telling us about? How he
Buddy
started
Card
to
Oh
make?
no, it had nothing. We thick and thin through that one.
It was
but
a long time ago.
It was in grade school. I think what happened is, well, I know at one point we were writing fake love letters to Matt in grade school from a secret admirer. It wasn't just me. It was like me and this other guy. But
And like slipping it in his desk.
that wasn't the time. He did get mad about that. But one time Matt was, I don't know, he was just getting on my nerves in grade school. And I was like, just leave me alone. I'm not going to be your friend, blah, blah, blah. And then he said he was sad until he realized there's another one. So he just went to Brandon.
and that's me. I'm a spare, really. No, and I don't want to belabor this point because it's kind of tired, but Aaron and I do look in a fundamental way different other than the beard in that my eye has done this like drift thing over the years, and so it doesn't point. My eyes don't point in the same direction.
Yeah, but what if you were both wearing sunglasses?
Well, then
And that would be tougher.
it would be harder to do. But I
That's
can
why
still
we
got
need
a
the
beard.
beard.
yeah.
He's still got a beard.
I straighten my eyes sometimes, and it scares the shit out of people, and,
they're
and they
like,
think I'm Aaron. Yeah, I've had
It's like the
girlfriends who
uncanny
don't.
valley, right?
They don't put up with that because all of a sudden Aaron shows up. And
Have either of you ever dated a girl and then it didn't work out and then the other one dated the girl?
no, that never
that
happened.
creeps me out.
Have you ever had a girl who like was really interested in like dating
No.
a twin? Have you ever dated
Oh,
another set of twins?
sorry. I thought you just said, I heard girl that's really interested, and I was like, no.
Okay. Do you guys ever watch Tales from the Crypt?
Sure.
Okay.
Joe Pesci.
The Joe Pesci episode.
Which is the Joe Pesci one?
So
I don't
Joe
remember
Pesci is so here's something I got 2 points about this episode. So Joe Pesci is this con man and he meets a set of twins and he's like a door-to-door salesman and he's able to get into their house and he spends all this time with them. The only problem is that neither of them really like can fall in love with him because they can't share him, right?
Right.
Sure.
And so he tells them that he has a twin. And so what he does is he'll leave every 2 weeks and then the next day his twin will show up, but it's really just him back and forth. And they finally catch him because he's tanning one day and the wind blows part of his robe. And so he gets like a tan line on
Yep.
his back. And the
Distinctive.
girls understand like, uh-oh. And so they couldn't share their father either. So they killed their father, you find out. But what they do is they chop Joe Pesci in half.
Like
Lengthwise.
Down the center.
Yep.
Yep.
And so
Nice.
each one gets a chunk of it. So the house that they're in, because their dad's supposed to be this amazing architect, is a very famous Hollywood house and has been featured in a bunch of movies. Most recently, the movie Big Eyes, directed by Tim Burton.
Oh.
It's the forgettable Tim Burton Academy Award Snorefest. Big Eyes. And I see that house show up in all sorts of stuff, and I'm always like, oh, it's a Joe Pesci house. It's a Joe Pesci house. I am so glad that you knew that episode.
I just remember the last shot of them both laying in bed with him, and they've split him in two.
Yeah.
Yep.
And,
And you
you're,
don't
you're just
see the
seeing,
gut side,
You're seeing
yeah.
the non-gory side.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember though how they fell in love with him in the first place.
So they're shut-ins.
Okay.
And he gets them to like start going out and having ice cream, and like he realizes that they're super wealthy, and so he's trying to get them. So, and they're two good-looking younger ladies, but they just never did anything outside of the house because they could never share anything.
Oh.
It's a good episode. Have you? I don't know if you guys know this, but you can watch all of Tales of the Crypt on YouTube.
Oh,
They've
really?
uploaded like every single episode.
I should do that because that was a fun show.
It was a fun show. Like
It
and
was.
there's like you'd be surprised to like, huh, look, that person's in it. That person's in it. That
Yep.
like the number of Academy Award winners who are on Tales from the Crypt is amazing.
Yep.
Robert Zemeckis has some really good episodes. One of them is like about this deranged killer from a mental institution who's dressed as Santa Claus. That is one of the most terrifying Christmas stories I've ever witnessed.
I think the Crypt Keeper was probably my favorite horror host.
He is fun.
I mean,
Oh, so
Elvira's up there too, and obviously Matt Frank. But
What about Joe Bob Riggs? You didn't like Joe Bob Riggs?
I actually don't remember who that is. That's why I
really?
made that sound.
Joe Bob
yeah,
Briggs.
he was
He's
host
still
on
around
TNT,
now. He's doing
yeah.
some stuff now.
So he hosted horror stuff, but his thing was like he was this kind of like hillbilly, and so he hosted them from right outside of his like duplex trailer.
At
Yeah,
one point, I wanted to produce a horror show, host TV show with JJ as President Taft. And it was going to be in a flying dirigible, and like the whole studio was going to be in this thing, and then he'd have guests that have to fly in. But it was going to be a horror like public access show.
Sure.
Why hasn't that happened?
I mean, it could
That
still.
should happen.
Yeah.
It could still. It's a crowded market.
Yeah.
Dirigible Taft shows. Yeah.
I like they're like what president could JJ play? Well, Taft because he's chubby. Pick
That mustache looked good on you.
It did look good on me, but I was way too young to be playing Taft.
Although we there's one thing about the movie that doesn't
Mercedes Ray,
Mercedes Ray is that we don't see what happens to Taft, and that's because he was supposed to get stuck in the bathtub.
Yep, and we couldn't find a clawfoot.
Couldn't find a clawfoot bathtub to use, which is the old story
right,
of
right.
that might be apocryphal, I guess, but like he had gotten into a child-sized bathtub and got stuck in it. But
Yep. I've heard that one.
I mean, and depending on who. Hey, I found. Let me ask you guys this. So they're building this brand new downtown building, Block 9.
Oh, yeah.
And Block 9 is going to be 232 feet tall.
Yep.
The Capitol building in Bismarck is 242 feet.
I was wondering, what the difference was. Okay.
So have you guys ever heard about that law where nothing can be taller than the Capitol building?
Yep.
That is Bullshit.
That's apocryphal.
Yep. So
Really?
here's
Yeah,
the thing.
that doesn't make sense.
I have accepted that as truth my entire life. In fact, I've had educators who've told me about that.
Yeah.
So during my day job on the show, we were kind of talking about it. And I'm like, well, it is kind of funny that this thing's going to be 10 feet shorter than the Capitol building. So we had someone from the Historical Society who specializes in architecture look through every document she could find. It upended her entire department for 2 days. And she finally got back. She's like, there's no law.
Yep.
There's no law whatsoever. She goes,
Yep.
the fact of the matter is that the ground underneath us, it's very difficult to build stuff higher than that. And so for a long, the reason that they made the Capitol building, which I guess goes by the nickname the Prick on the Prairie because it looks like a giant penis standing straight.
Oh, Bismarck.
If they hadn't actually made it look like a giant penis, that would have helped. But
So I found that out and I was like, that's amazing. But there is, I guess, a law in Washington, D.C. that nothing can be taller than the Senate building. And so
That is a
the dome.
massive building.
That is. And it's up on a hill. And so people think like, well, what about the Washington Monument? That thing's huge.
Sure.
And Spider-Man just saved all those kids from it.
Yep.
They're like, well, yeah, but it's still not taller based on the elevation.
Oh,
It's not
so it's like
higher.
from sea level.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Do you know what we are from sea level in Fargo?
I don't know. I don't think about sea level. It's an arbitrary number.
Really? You
It
think
is.
so?
It is. Yeah. There is no actual like immediate sea level. Like you couldn't be like, what level is the ocean at? It's like, well, it depends on where you are.
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Sea level sort of an arbitrary starting point.
So what should be our good starting point, do you think?
I have no idea. I don't think
Volcano
about
level?
it that much.
Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
Which of the two
Maybe
competing...
from down from the edge of space, because we do have sort of a marker for that.
Yeah.
Of where at what point is the atmosphere is no longer atmosphere in a space. So if we could do it from down from space level, that'd be pretty sweet.
What's our space depth?
yeah.
I don't know, yeah. What's our depths from space?
Right.
I like that. That's a very 21st century
Because then,
thing.
like a building like we're in would have a massive space level.
Right, yeah. 52 miles. That's how far it is to space.
Space level 52.
Which Kingsman do you guys prefer? Kingsman 1 or Kingsman 2?
I haven't seen either
Haven't
of them.
seen either of them.
Okay, which
Yep.
do you guys prefer? An American Tale or An American Tale 2, Five Will Goes West?
I think I've only seen the original.
I've seen them both, but it's been so many years, and
Pick one.
Five
no,
Goes West.
probably Five Goes West.
Oh, in
You
your
can't
face.
pick it. You didn't
Yep,
even watch
no,
it
he
yet.
did. He got to.
Maybe. I don't know.
Look, I don't even know. I picked one.
Jimmy Stewart. No, you guys are both correct. Congratulations. So nice to have you
went
here.
west.
Yeah.
Captain
good.
Ron or just something else that day?
Or a
Something
punch to the
else.
dick.
Something else. Yeah.
I love Captain Ron.
I know you do.
I do. In fact, if you guys want to watch it, I keep it on my phone at all times.
Just in case you need a fix, huh?
And I even know like the beginning, like ooh, tweet up, pop, tweety, 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 pop, tweety, tweety. I'm really hoping I get to meet Martin Short when he's in town.
He's coming. That's right.
In
Yep.
June,
Yep,
and
yep,
I
yep.
can't wait to tell him that Captain Ron is my favorite movie. He was being interviewed by Maxim or FHM probably like 15 years ago.
One
of
of the best magazines in the world.
right, one of those mini spank mags.
Yeah.
And the interviewer was kind of razzing on him. He's like, you've had some hits, and then you've got a movie like Clifford, and he pretty much like stops the interview and goes, "Go to every dorm room in America, and I bet you find a copy of Clifford in 1 out of every 3." He goes, "That movie has a cult following. People quote it all the time.
Really?
And you are just giving it all this flack. And the truth is, Clifford is another one of my favorite movies. I try and do an impression from it all the time where Charles Grodin. Are you guys familiar with the movie Clifford?
I've seen like parts of it on
sure.
TV. I don't think I've
Where-
ever seen the whole thing.
Again, a grown man plays like an 11-year-old boy, but he's weird and quirky, and he's like act like a human being, and he does this thing where he tries to like slough his face, like, and he's like, and then he like comes out of it, he goes, you can't do it. You can't do it for more than a second, can you? I love Charles Grodin. Favorite Charles Grodin movie?
Okay, let
Beethoven?
me think.
Oh,
no.
good call.
Beethoven 1.
God, favorite.
You don't like the one with the
favorite
puppies,
Charles Grodin movie. Oh God, I know I can think of something, but I can't think of it at the moment.
I don't have any idea
Really?
what to say.
I mean, he's in a Muppet movie, right?
Yeah.
That's like
He's,
he's
he's
in
amazing in
Manhattan?
the Great Muppet
Oh,
Caper.
Great Muppet Caper.
Yep.
He is
Yeah.
really good in that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's a good choice.
He like Michael Caine are one of those people who never allowed the Muppets to be like pieces of felt and cloth. Like he treated them like real actors.
Right.
So like when he's attracted, he like grabs Miss Piggy. You can actually see like a part of Frank Oz's arm because he wasn't expecting to be like pulled into such an embrace. What about okay, let's candy bars. Do you guys like the same candy bar?
I don't know. I like my favorites are Butterfinger. And I mean, I really like Snickers. I mean, Snickers is classic. It's kind of the missionary
brother's
position.
judging
But
you.
yeah.
I am silently.
What was
Not all that silently.
Oh, but you know what? Lately, Take 5 is really good.
Oh, okay. So we're actually on the same
Thank
page
God.
now. Thank goodness we've done a twin thing. I was going to say Take 5. I like Butterfingers, but they get stuck in my teeth.
They get stuck in your
around-
teeth. That's part of the fun.
That's my teeth, and I'll eat pretty much any candy bar. I'm not. I mean, there's not. I'm like, ew, candy.
You guys remember Butterfinger BBs?
Yeah.
Yes,
Remember those?
they're good.
Those are the
Those are
bomb,
good. Those
huh?
are good. Yeah.
Better
Miss those.
not lay
Hey,
a
I'm
finger
gonna-
on my
I
Butterfinger
want to show you guys
BBs.
a picture. So I took this today at like 6:25 when I was at the gas station, and Reese's has a new product called Reese's Nutrageous Pieces.
Okay.
Oh.
Tell me that doesn't look like a turd.
It really does. It
hell
looks
yeah.
like a turd that somebody's broken
Yeah,
up,
it looks like a
opened
turd.
and found
Definitely.
that
Right.
they had.
Also,
And it's got
corn.
undigested
It looks
Reese's
like
Pieces.
it looks like a duty.
It does.
right, like someone who doesn't chew enough.
Yep.
Right.
You break it open.
Yep. Yep. And you find corn and,
Yep.
and
Here's the thing.
undigested quinoa.
I don't know what the inside of my turd looks like because I've never grabbed it and broken it open,
Oh.
but I have to assume, just based off of logic, that is exactly what it looks like.
I've never cut mine in half, but I've seen it break in the toilet because it like ended up like standing up a little bit, and then I just watched it fold over. But I mean, lately my poops have been super sticky. I don't know why. I haven't changed anything in my diet except I'm eating more food from the work commissary.
Yep.
So it might just be like whatever preservatives are in that. But like I have the stickiest poops right now.
Like they're like when you flush, they're
No,
clinging
like
to the
like
bowl.
getting them out of me is taking work
Oh.
because they're sticking to the
You're
inside
having
of my
problems
colon.
with separation.
Yeah, pinching it off isn't super easy.
At one point, Horatio Sands suggested something called a pizza scissors, which is a scissor you use to cut pizza, and then but don't get it confused with your toilet
I've
scissors.
heard of this. I've heard of this. Yeah.
Good God.
Pizza in squares or slices.
Slices.
Okay. Does it
Squares, I
depend?
don't eat a
does it
square.
depend on where or
Where? Not really. No.
like who favorite place to order pizza from?
You know, I actually. I don't
You know,
know.
shut
I
the fuck
really
up.
want
Let your
these
brother
guys to
answer first.
We need to find some of these to actually commit to
I
because
know.
we're getting a lot of like iffy.
Well, yeah.
How about this? On the count of three,
vacillating.
name your favorite place for pizza. Okay, so think about it. Don't look at each other.
Oh my God, I don't even know if I have one.
Yes,
though.
you do.
Everyone does.
I'm not very. That's not very imaginative, though.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Marco's.
Pizza Hut, I guess. I've actually never had Marco's there yet.
Well, it's just it's kind of close to my place,
Yeah.
and if I order delivery, I get from there. But I usually just buy frozen pizzas.
Yeah.
Okay.
For shout out.
Okay.
We
I was gonna say
we
like
used to
let's
be
do the
pizza
same thing.
boys too together. We were
Too
pizza
late.
boys together.
You were pizza delivery men's.
We were pizza.
Boys.
Oh God, I worked at
Where'd
the
you
place
deliver?
for too long.
Hey,
Papa
pizza
John's.
boy.
Papa John's. Remember the Kong
Oh,
pizza?
okay, yeah,
Papa
yeah, that's
John's.
right. Because you actually worked at Papa John's
Together.
So here's the thing: when you worked at Papa John's, did you ever deliver a pizza and a girl in a nightie answered it, and you were like, "Is this the beginning of something magical?"
No, I delivered to a frat once, and they were having a bachelor party, and there was a stripper there, and they put me down on a chair, and then the stripper did the lap dance thing on me, and all the frat guys yelled, "Pizza guy, pizza guy," and it's not sexy when that happens. It fucking sucks, actually.
Which is weird
when
because
they're yelling pizza guy at you?
I can only finish during sex if someone's shouting
right,
pizza, guy at me
right,
from the
right.
other room.
Usually me too, but it's
And not the one that you're making love with either.
No,
like
no,
a
it's
spectator.
Erica's not liking it very much
Right.
right now. She's like, we got to stop that recording from playing.
Years ago, I planned a going away party for one of our previous podcast guests. I'm not going to name him because I don't know if he'd want it. And his buddy from Texas drove up, and they were going to drive down to Texas together. That's where he's moving. And so it was maybe like 3 weeks after St. Patrick's Day. So we had a quarter of a keg of Killian's Irish Red that needed to be drunk that had been sitting out at room temperature the whole time.
God.
And we were like, so let's have this party. And someone was like, we should get a stripper for this party, like an in-house stripper. Now, an in-house stripper versus a strip club stripper, drastically different, because with in-house strippers, you can do things like touch in certain cases. So this girl comes in and immediately it's awkward because she knows two of the guests, like from high school. So in fact, another one of our podcast guests knew this person. So she's stripping and she does her little strip show, and like, you know, we're kind of going through the motions, and then they're like, all right, well, listen, I want to say, like, Crystal Ball needs to take like a 10-minute break. So she takes a break and she goes, would you mind if I had some of the food that is out? And we're like, yeah, help yourself. So she's buck naked, like filling a buffet plate, and she tries the spinach and artichoke dip. She's like, oh my God, this is the best spinach and artichoke dip ever. And she's like, who made this? And I said, well, I did. She goes, what is the recipe? And I'm like, well, it's really easy. And so I wrote down the recipe, and she's like, thank you so much. That was awesome. This stuff is great. And I'm like, I'm getting like non-tipped attention from the stripper. Like, this is amazing. And then someone goes and like, I didn't know you brought that or you made that. And I'm like, I didn't. I opened a can and I put it on the table. So I am just assuming that those were the ingredients in the amount that I gave to her. I've always wondered if she ever tried to make it. And she was like, oh, I didn't do this that good.
You sent her on a spiral.
I probably did. I was like, I mean, why would he lie to me? Looking at myself. Did you ever? I also scared a kid yesterday.
Oh,
by accident.
like, did you jump out of the alley and say boo?
Close.
Right.
So I was exiting a movie theater. I saw that new, like, The Kid Who Would Be King Arthur movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so, of course, there's a bunch of kids there, right? And then an adult, me. So I polished off my large popcorn and my pop, and I've put the pop into the popcorn bucket, and I'm walking out, and they've got those little trash cans right by the door in that little alleyway you walk to get out of the movie theater. And a kid is standing there. From the time I turn around, I see him standing there, and he's got a cup that he's holding over the garbage, and he keeps like shaking it. And I can tell he's like looking at his mom, and I'm like, are you just trying to be like funny? Or are you like, should I throw this away? Should I throw this away? I don't know. And so I get up behind him, and I need to throw my stuff away. And so I throw it to the next garbage can. He's at garbage can 1, the garbage can 2. But like, I've walked up behind him and I throw it into there, and it goes clunk, clunk, clunk. And the kid like jumps around and is terrified. Like, oh! He was not expecting another person to be behind him. I go to the bathroom, and when I come out, Jill is very angry at me, and she goes, he started to cry. And I said, what? And I'm like, because I'm in the bathroom and I'm laughing while I'm peeing, and you know when you laugh and you pee and it comes out like it bursts. I'm like, I'm 35 years old and I scared a kid today. At a movie he's probably been pretty excited to see. And so it brought me back to a moment when I was at Pepper's Sports Cafe when I was a young man, and I was maybe 6 or 7 years old, and a drunk little person stumbles in and looks over at me and goes, goddamn good thing you're here. I thought I was the shortest one in this place. And I clammed up. I could not pee. I was terrified of what was going on.
For sure.
Because I was like, and also I was using the lower urinal.
Yeah.
And so I think he was a little angry that I was using the little urinal. And that moment has defined some of my bathroom practices ever since. And so I can only imagine that this young boy will never hover trash over a garbage can again.
You've probably influenced his whole life at this point, which is good. I mean, it's good to have influence over little children.
I'm
really.
laughing about scaring a kid, and my wife was not impressed.
You know, every time if Aaron and I happen to go into the same public restroom, this goes back to high school. I think we had band. We had a marching. We were out marching or doing band practice.
We had a long, I don't know.
And they ended up running long, so we were both late for our next classes, and we both had to pee. So we both went into
And there
the
was an
same.
announcement saying it was okay for us to be late for our next classes.
Oh yeah, that's right.
important
That's
part of
right.
it.
That's important. So we go into the same restroom, and we're at adjacent urinals, both peeing. And I, not thinking of my words, I said, "Well, peeing and doing what you do." I said, "Well, long as we're late already, might as well milk it."
Yep.
I meant milk the being late, but
He's just got his hands in the area. Yeah, I was crying for laughing and crying for so long. We were both just standing there going,
just dying. And to this day, if we go into the same restroom
might as well
and
milk
use
it.
adjacent urinals, we say that to each other, and it prolongs the whole thing. It makes it very difficult to take a leak.
And I believe that is the end of this podcast, our conversation with the Baker Boys. Do people call you the Fabulous Baker Boys?
it's happened.
Oh, sure, it's happened. It
Yeah.
doesn't
I mean, you're
happen
being
often.
compared to was it Jeff
and
Bridges?
Bo Bridges.
Bo
yeah.
Bridges.
So that's not such a bad thing.
Yeah.
If people want to seek you out on the internet, are you on the Twitter, or when's the Mincing Fancy Lads going to have another show?
That's a great question. Who the hell knows?
Do you have a MySpace page for the Mincing Fancy
We
Lads?
do it, but nothing's available on it anymore. I even I had to ask a friend if I could borrow her Mincing Fancy Lads CD so I could actually put it on my computer, because I don't have one anymore.
I heard the same thing happened to Mick Jagger.
Yeah. He doesn't have any Rolling Stones albums.
No. I would really like to listen to something from when we were talented.
No, I'm hoping, whether with Tony or not, because Tony's a busy guy too, I'd like to start playing some open mics or something and just get used to it again, because
I know he's doing a lot of recording right now
Yeah,
at home.
Tony's not that busy, because when we had him in here, we were like, well, that's great. Thanks. Bye-bye. And he just wouldn't leave and wouldn't leave and wouldn't leave. And finally,
He was like, guys, seriously, Bitcoin, it's gonna be, it's gonna be transactional.
That's absolutely right. That's exactly what he said. I'm sure of it.
and then
Hi,
plans to
Tony.
put after school special online.
I need to get that figured out. Yeah, I just want to find a better copy of it. So when you and Greg get around to
Yeah.
digging through all that stuff,
We've got a couple more pieces of equipment we're gonna actually be buying here at some point,
Good.
just to really do it right.
because
But
my copy is viewable and everything. It's just not the greatest.
Right.
So, I guess I do feel like it would be remiss if we were on this show and didn't sing our song though.
Oh, please
yeah, let's
give
do
us
it.
some.
I mean, it's
All
not
right.
much of a song. It's kind of just like the beginning of a song
All right.
But-
Yeah, it's just the start of a song about us,
about being brothers. And
about being
twins.
brothers. Are you ready?
Yep.
And a
You
one,
count us out.
and a two, and a one, and a two.
Brothers, brothers in love, holding hands and kissing each other. Brothers, brothers in love, making time at the picture show.
Thanks, boys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's been fun.
A huge thanks to Natalie Deutsch of Hatch Realty for sponsoring this podcast. Folks, if you're looking to buy or sell a home, contact Natalie Deutsch today, because Natalie Deutsch is not only a previous podcast guest, she's somebody who's going to care enough to sell your property for top dollar. She's also going to find you the best price possible if you're purchasing a new home. Last year, on average, Natalie earned her clients $4,000 over list price on their homes and sold them faster than the market average. On average, Natalie's selling a home every 3.74 days. That's 2 homes a week. Those numbers don't lie. Find out why Natalie is one of the top agents in this entire market. Get a hold of her today, Natalie at hatchrealtyfm.com. You can also call 701-388-9338 or go on to livefargomorehead.com. That's livefargomorehead.com. Read all of her amazing reviews, and then listen to her episode of JJ Meets World. Thanks again to Natalie Deutsch of Hatch Realty. That's going to wrap it up for today's show. If you enjoyed this episode of JJ Meets World and would like to help us continue to produce 2 new episodes every week, you can donate to our Patreon. Check out patreon.com/JJ Meets World and donate today. Even as little as $1 a month can go a long way. Visit our website at www.jjmeetsworld.com or hit up our social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all the sites the kids are using these days. If you'd like to stay up to date on new episodes of JJ Meets World, you can find us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, YouTube, or wherever you consume the podcast that you love. JJ Meets World is produced every week by Tucker Lucas. You can find out more about Tucker's work by checking out www.moonbasemaria.com. If you want to get in touch with your host with the most, go to linebenders.com, and you can find direct contact info for JJ. Do you think that there's a third Baker brother and his name would start with a C, like Charlie or Chip, Chance, Chris, Curtis, Chuck, Shalulu, Charles, Chauncey, Chanticleer, Church. This is the Easter egg. Oh, it's Easter egg.